All right, we are going to be designing a ring today. So first step is going to click the 3 lines, go to New Model, and choose Simple Template Millimeters. All right, and next we need to name it. So I'm going to have you use the template of name, color that you want printed, and what the object is. All right. It's going to ask you where to save it. So I'm going to put it into the Sketchup folder in my Google Drive. That way later on I can go to Google Drive and share it with me, Mr. Scroggins. That way I can send it to Mr. Darden for printing. Okay, we're all set. Now I'm going to use a circle and click from the center right here, which is called the origin, and it can build my ring. Now before I click, I actually want to be very specific about how big this ring is. So before I know that, I need to first measure my fingers. So take a ruler like this one. You're going to use the millimeters side. The big number here of 1 is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. The little tiny dashes are the millimeters. So we want to figure out how wide our finger is that you're going to be wearing the ring on in millimeters, not in centimeters. So I'm going to measure my pointer finger here, the width down where I wear the ring, starting at the edge of the ruler all the way to this 2, it looks like. If you hold it up close, yeah, that's the 2. So that would be 2 centimeters, or you could say 20 millimeters. 20 millimeters is how wide I want my circle. So back to the screen, if you go to the circle, instead of trying to get it perfectly on 20 millimeters, instead I'm just going to type 20. And since we're in millimeter template, I don't even need to push MM like you see down here in the bottom right. You can just leave it 20 and hit enter, and it makes you a tiny little ring. You can see it's about right to match his hand. So if I zoom in on it, we've got our circle. Now here's the problem. If I go over to the tape measure and double check that my dimensions are right, we're going to discover that they're wrong. It says 40 millimeters. I told it 20. Here's the problem. I didn't tell it 20. I told it I wanted the radius to be 20, and it is. The radius is halfway across the circle. I want it to be 20 all the way across. So I'm just going to escape out of that. Triple click my circle and backspace to delete it. We're going to try again. This time I'm going to do some math. Again, I want a 20 millimeter diameter, which is across, but you see the black line there? That's halfway across. So what is half of 20? 10. 10 millimeters. So I'm going to type 10, and I'm going to hit enter. And now my circle should be 20 millimeters across, or you could say 10 millimeter diameter. So let's measure it, double check again. We always want to check our dimensions, make sure we're not messing up. Especially this early in the project, we want to start with a good solid base. So yeah, it's 20 millimeters across, 20.00. So we're good. Okay, next step. You're going to go to push-pull, click on the offset tool, and this is going to give me a second circle, and I'm going to go outwards because that middle circle is the hole for the ring, and then this outer circle is the actual ring. So now I'm going to click on select. I'm going to select the middle. And I'm going to push backspace to clear it out. So now I have a ring, and I can push pull it up. So back to push pull. Click on my ring and go up as high as you'd like. So far, let's see, 5 millimeters wide. I like to reference my ruler a lot. So if I want it 5 millimeters, that would be half of 1 centimeter. Is that a good thickness from here to here on my finger? Maybe a little more. Maybe I want like 7. So instead of trying to wiggle it until I find 7, I'm just going to type 7 and hit enter. Oh, cool. That looks pretty good. Okay, well, there's the basic ring shape. I think that should fit my finger. But let's take it a step further and add some cool designs to it. So from here, I'm going to center it, and I'm going to use the shape tool and choose the text, 3D text. All right, I'm going to type Scrogs, sure, why not? And you can see right here, the height is 304 millimeters. That's way too tall. We just said the width of our ring would be 7 millimeters, so maybe I should do 7 millimeters so it fits perfectly with my width of the ring. Then I'm going to leave it filled, and I'm going to turn off the extrusion. We'll mess with that later. The font type you can change here if you want to make something different font. I'll go cursive, play ball. You can change the, oh, guess you can't. Some fonts let you change to bold or italics. Play ball is just going to be play ball. Play ball! All right. Now I have my text. Here's where it gets kind of tricky. We have some options. We can place it here, and then right click and explode, which basically just separates the letters from each other. And then I can go in and use the move tool and move one piece at a time. Now, since it's kind of handwriting, they're all automatically connected, so this is kind of a hard font to work with. So instead, I'm going to use something a little simpler, like the default font. So let's choose that instead. Okay, let's go to Anonymous Pro, regular, 7 millimeters. All right, let's try that one. Here we go. Now when I explode this one, the letters are going to be individual, so I can move one at a time like that. Now, you can see it's doing weird stuff to my C, so if I want it to not do weird stuff, I'm going to have to select the C by itself, triple click, right click, and now I can make it its own group all by itself. Okay. Now that it's separate, I can move it around separately, and I can try to put it onto my ring. All right. Now, you can see the ring is split up into different segments. It's not perfectly circular. So instead, what we're going to do is scale these down, and I'll have to make a second video because this one's getting kind of long, but you've got the basic idea of how to make the ring and add text. We'll have to mess with putting on text later.